Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Melanin Margin, the weekly chat show where conversations about race are never off the table. We're your hosts, Quaviondre Williams.
And Daquon Wilson.
So let's get into this week's conversation. What's hot on the table this week?
Life is filled with several great career options, and when we're younger, we are often expected to know which path we want to pursue. The traditional route is the most common. It has a blueprint mapped out for you: K through 12, college, then job. However, there are those of us who lean towards the non traditional fields that are full of unease and uncertainties. So that begs the question: why do people decide to pursue creative careers at all? And Andre, when did you decide to pursue a creative career?
Um, I think it's a calling, like a
Mhm.
passion, a drive that wakes you up in the morning with a hold so tight that you are compelled to do whatever it is that you have to do. It's like this pressured ball that wells up inside you until you can't take it anymore and it just bursts. I mean, as cliche as it sounds, creativity is like looking at the world in black and white and then suddenly being able to see color. Time means nothing when you're creating. Hell, I mean, even things like eating and drinking, take a back burner when you're on a roll. You know what I'm saying? I mean, people create because they really don't have a choice. It's just something that they have to do. They feel like they're compelled to do. And, for me, when I discovered that I wanted to pursue like creative pathways, especially with my writing journey, I remember a while back I was watching, I think it was Suicide Squad,
Mhm.
and like I was looking at this one particular scene where Joker pushes Harley falls off the into the chemical vat. Have you seen that movie before, Daquan? You know what I'm talking
Yeah, I
about?
have.
And that scene just resonated with me so much because I was just like, I wonder what brought her there. Like, what brought her
Mm.
to that space? And so I sat at home one day and was like, let me write a fan fiction about like Harley Quinn and Joker, right? Like, just on a whim, let me just write a fan fiction. And I remember this day distinctly. I'd always written stuff before and I'd done creative writing before, but when I knew it was what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, was there was a day we were on vacation, me and my mom, my sister, and my dad. And we were in the hotel room and I brought my laptop with me. Now, I had already, worked on the fan fiction, for a while at that point. I was on like chapter 16. And I was like, I just want to finish up this last little bit, right? It was around, I want to say 8 o'clock when we arrived where we were. And I was in the hotel room just writing and typing away. And I was like, I'm just going to get this last little bit out, just this last little bit out. And I was writing and writing, writing. It was 8 that night when I started, Daquan. And it was 8 that next morning when I finished. And I looked back at the time and it was just like, what the
Where'd she
fuck just
go?
happened? And it was really, for me, it was one of those realizations like, oh my God, like, damn, this is it. This is it right here for me. But what about you, Daquan?
Yeah, I think I love how you brought up that idea of compulsion when it comes to creative careers. I think that the people who take these non-traditional routes are the people that always have that like itch of what if
Mm-hmm.
they're not comfortable in whatever traditional route that they're in, and they're like, what if I just pursue this? What if I just take a chance and try something new and try something different? Even though I don't see anybody, really pushing me towards that. There's just something here that just makes me want to do it. And I think
Yeah.
people are compelled to. And like similarly, I had so many different career interests growing up. There was a time I wanted to be a doctor, I wanted to be a lawyer, I wanted to be an
Yeah.
engineer, like IT, computer science, like
Mm-hmm.
so many different avenues that I was pursuing. And I think that one thing that just clicked was these were just kind of special interest at the time. There was
Mm-hmm.
something that like I'm kind of interested in, and like people are saying that, oh, like, well, you like computers, you're on the computer all day playing video games, like you should love to like do computer science or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, like I guess like it makes good money, so why
Mm-hmm.
not say that?
Yeah.
And like you get the respect of people around you because if you're sure of like what you want to do, people are going to respect you a little bit more, especially
Yeah.
like when you're in high school talking to like guidance counselors and stuff like that. When they see something in you and like you know what you want to do, quote unquote, then they're going to be like, all right, like you got this and everything like that. But distinctly remember this one night I was at this business camp actually, and it was a summer program just like teaching teenagers all about businesses,
Yeah.
building that entrepreneurial spirit. And I was like, this may be something. I did it for my resume, not gonna lie, but I also had like in like maybe going into business, like like tech business, stuff like that. And there was a talent show. And something just told me to enter the talent show. And like before that, I played an instrument, I was in band, so like I had that talent, but like I wasn't going to bring an instrument all the way there. But something still just was like, maybe you should write something. And I did. I wrote something. I was like, all right, like I'm gonna, recite this little cute poem, whatever, and be done with it. But then something told me, no, go back and write something else. Write something that you really feel. And this was around the summers of like Trayvon Martin and
Yeah.
all of that. And just like it was weighing so heavy on my spirit that I decided to write something about that. And I remember performing it at this summer program in front of so many different people. And
Hmm.
afterwards I felt so good because, you get that applause, you were on stage, you see the lights hitting you, and there's
Hmm.
something about that just like that energizes you.
Yeah.
But that wasn't even the best feeling. The best feeling was the next day when somebody came to me and was like, I just want you to know like how powerful that poem was. Like spent all night talking about just the injustices of the world, and then I was like, finally, finally I found something where I feel like I can put my voice into it and have
Hmm.
change. There's so many different career paths that I can do to like, make the money and like do
Yeah.
what I need to do to survive, but that is something where I have my own radical voice and I feel like I'm making a difference in the world. And so that's what compelled me to like pursue things like writing. And even as I got into
Yeah.
thinking about how can I tell a story with my face? How can I create something artistic that invokes something emotional? And so after that, I knew, yeah, I will have like a practical job to like pay the bills, but
Bills.
I
Yeah.
want to get to that place to full time just be creative.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I wanted to kind of piggyback on that a little bit more too. I think that there's just this, it's this rush. It's something that you really can't explain to anybody who is not creative, who,
Hmm.
hasn't had that kind of, or is that's not their calling, because there's just this moment where you're writing, singing, dancing, acting, or whatever, and you just feel at one, at peace.
Mm.
It's there's no words. There's no words for it.
It's
It's just,
literally the most beautiful feeling there is.
and once you have a taste of it, once you know it's yours, there's no going that nothing else compares to it.
Right.
Like,
You won't be
when we talk,
satisfied.
exactly, like when we talk about the differences between like practical careers and creative careers, like, with a practical career, you have security, you have job security, you have, a certain pathway in mind. You have, okay, I go to school for X amount of years and I'll get my degree, I'll pass the bar, I'll go to medical school or whatever the fuck it is that you're doing, right? But with creative
Hmm.
careers, there is no direction. There are things that work for some people, there are things that work for other people. Some people go the traditional route with publishing by getting an agent and getting the thing and da 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 and all this stuff. They do it for. With dancing, they go to school, or they, you do a YouTube or do TikTok. There's so many different avenues, and there's no real set pathway to be successful, quote unquote, in a creative field. And I think that for me, I was really both excited and terrified when I found out that my career, the thing that really got me up in the morning, that made me like go, oh bitch, you ate, is like writing and performing and stuff like that. And it was such a hard realization for me, because I was like, damn it. Like, I could really be fucking the game up with cashiering, or becoming a manager at a fucking Home Depot or something, or going to library science school and becoming a librarian or something like, or something really, practical. I know I have the skill set to learn these things and to be really good at it. I know I could
Right.
do this well, and I know I can make some damn good money doing it, but it just doesn't give me anything. I remember when I discovered this, when I discovered I had a plan. I was going to go to school to become a psychiatrist. That was my original plan when I first got out of high school. But when I did that fan fiction, and when I realized just how much I loved writing, and how much I wanted to create my own story and create my own universes, and when I started acting and performing, having my YouTube channel and things like that, it's just everything else, like you said, pales in comparison. Yes, I could go to school, and yes, I could study this thing, but I don't fucking want to. Like, this doesn't do shit for me. It does nothing. But I want to ask you, Daquon, like, when you realized that creativity was your avenue, did it scare you at all?
Oh, it not only scared me, it scared like my family, because I think that I think that especially coming from, a black or brown family, growing up like, lower middle class to lower class,
Mm-hmm.
it's something where once you have that interest in the practical, they're like, go for it. No,
Yep.
don't look back, don't turn around, don't go collect $200 from Go. Like, get
Yeah.
that, doctor job, get that lawyer job,
Yeah.
And I remember just having like really hard conversations with my parents around that
Mm.
time of like junior to senior year, where I was like, I don't want to take any more engineering classes. Like, that's not what I'm passionate about. Like, that's not what I want to pursue. And they were like, well, you would make good money, and like
Mm-hmm.
you're closing a door. And I'm like, no. Like, the thing that I had to realize the most, that when it comes to creativity, when it comes to the arts and the humanities, pursuing that is not closing the door to other places. In fact, it is opening way more doors than just
Mm-hmm.
trying to get from point A to point B. Because even in like applying for the more practical jobs, like in business, like sure, you can be a business major, but a lot of businesses are like, we want English majors, we want,
Yeah.
sociology majors, because at the core of what you're doing at a business is applying, dealing with consumers, talking to
Mm-hmm.
people, human beings. And so when you understand the humanities, you have a better understanding of how to really reach certain people. And so I just had to really realize that, regardless of what I'm doing or what I want to pursue, that it is not going to close any door. I can always go back to something if I want, but
Yeah.
if I go down that traditional route, I may never be able to get back onto this creative path.
Yeah, it's about nurturing. And I think my mom was one of the things I really love the most about my mom, is that when I came up and had that conversation about wanting to be a writer, wanting to be an actor, wanting to be a performer, my mom said to me, she was like, okay, if this is what you want to do, I need to see you do it. She was
Mm,
like, if this is something that you want to do, I need to see the series. I need to see the drive. What are you doing to it? Are you writing? Are you doing this? Are you writing on your book? Are you working on your book? Are you going to do some monologues? Are you going to go audition for some stuff? My mom was very much so like, bitch, you about to get into this shit. And if you really want to be here, you're gonna have to work hard and bust your ass for it. So the same fucking energy you put into all the shit that you've done before, you put that same energy there. So I was very fortunate in the way that my mom never kind of steered me away. She just kind of clarified. She was like, if this is what you want to do, this shit's gonna be hard. And you're gonna have
right.
to really bust your ass to make this shit work. So, I really had to have and honestly, I don't know about you, Daquan, but the conversations you have with yourself when you are deciding that this is the path you want to take is some of the most difficult conversations to have. Because
Mm,
even though my mom was, supportive, and even she still is supportive, for me, it was so difficult to kind of wrangle the fear of stepping into this path and stepping into this, life, because, I'm the long, I made a decision not to go back to college. once I got my associate's degree. I made a decision not to pursue any kind of quote unquote practical degree that could get me a really well paying job or whatever, because I didn't want to have that, plan B kind of thing. This is the plan. Me being in this field is the plan. So yes, I'm going to work my 2 jobs. I'm going to bring home the bread to make sure I'll be able to live and do what I got to do. But I don't ever want to get so caught up into this working field that I forget what I'm going for, you know?
Yeah, I 100% agree that like tackling that fear for yourself is so hard, especially because you're just a busy person. Like when you're
Mm-hmm.
having to balance your creative interest and your practical what pays the bills, like if you're working 9 to 5 and then being creative from 5 to 9, like you get tired so
Yeah.
quickly. There are so many days where you're just like, man, I just need time to get away and like just be creative and things like that. But I gotta pay the bills. I gotta go to this job and that job. Especially if you're working 2, 3 jobs, like it's hard to find that time. And that's like a real fear of people of just like, am I going to be able to sustain this?
Mm-hmm.